This is English shorthand dictation number 231 and the dictation speed is 140 words per minute. Ready? Start. Mr. Chairman, sir, I thank you for giving me the opportunity to present my party's views on this bill. The bill proposes to amend the old acts of 1954 and 1958 and seeks to bring clarity on when Supreme Court and High Court judges are entitled to an additional quantum of pension or family pension on attaining a certain age. I appreciate the bill and the legislative clarification that this pension benefit to a retired judge shall be provided from the first day of the month in which the judge completes the age specified and not from the first day of his entering the age specified therein. My party has no difficulty in supporting this measure. However, the title of this bill refers to salaries and conditions of service of judges of the Supreme Court and High Courts. This points to other issues that could usefully have been addressed in this bill, issues of far greater importance to the democratic foundations of our nation. The government should have considered using this bill to address and resolve critical issues of the judiciary relating to conditions of service such as matters of the retirement age of judges, particularly High Court judges, and the implications of that for pendency of cases in the courts. I would like to ask the Minister whether there are any plans to increase the retirement age of the judges of the High Courts from 62 to 65 years to bring them on par with the retirement age of the Supreme Court judges who retire at 65. There have been important recommendations from experts to this effect. In 2002, there was a recommendation that the retirement age of High Court judges be increased to 65, though it also added that the Supreme Court judges should retire at 68. Many people felt that both the age limits should be the same. The UPA government sought to implement this recommendation through a constitution amendment bill, which provided for increasing the retirement age of High Court judges from 62 to 65. But unfortunately, the bill could not be taken up for deliberations and it lapsed on the dissolution of the Lok Sabha in 2014. Even so, the importance of this measure was subsequently reiterated again by the Supreme Court, which recommended in 2018 to increase the retirement age of the judges of the higher judiciary to decrease the pendency of cases. Despite such measures offering at least a partial solution to the alarming levels of pendency that plague our top courts, it is both surprising and worrying that the Ministry of Law and Justice has declared that there is no proposal as of now either to increase the retirement age of Supreme Court judges from 65 to 67 or to bring those of the High Court colleagues to an equal footing from 62 to 65 and provide a uniform retirement age for judges of High Courts and Supreme Court. This illogical position blatantly contravenes the recommendations made by the Parliamentary Standing Committee on Personnel, Public Grievances, Law and Justice, which has pointed out that there is a need to revisit the age of retirement of High Court judges to compensate for the large number of vacancies existing in the High Courts. Surely, the Honorable Minister will agree that if we are discussing conditions of service of judges, we need to urgently address the most fundamental impediment to the effective functioning of the judges, and that impediment is the high vacancy rate in judicial positions across the country. This is the problem that once drove a sitting Chief Justice of India to tears in front of the Prime Minister. But even his tears appear to have left the government unmoved. As the old legal cliche goes, justice delayed is justice denied. How can we expect justice to be delivered in a timely manner when more than 400 posts of judges are currently lying vacant in 25 high courts around the country? In various high courts of India, there are shortages of more than 1/3 of the total strength of judges. This is not just an issue that affects the citizens of a country for whom the process of seeking justice has become a punishment in itself. It also holds worrying ramifications for the governance of our nation. It will be a matter of grave concern for all of us in this House when we recall the warning issued by the Supreme Court, which pointed out that the government's administration will also come to a standstill if vacancies in the courts and pendency of cases are not taken into consideration for immediate remedial action. There are more than 4 crore cases pending at all levels of judiciary in the country. Between 2010 and 2020, pendency across all courts has grown by 3% annually. These grim numbers clearly imply that even if no new cases were to be filed starting from today, the time taken by the courts to dispose of just the currently pending cases at the current disposal rate would be more than 1 year for the Supreme Court and 3 years for each of the high courts and even longer for the subordinate courts. Of course, we know the situation has been further aggravated by the pandemic, which has resulted in a 20% increase in pending cases in the high courts and 13% in the subordinate courts. We all know that there is no chance that we can see a reduction in the rate at which new cases are being added to the dockets of our courts. Respected Chairman, if one were to draw a comparison with the international front, it can be seen that the standard retirement age for judges is around 70 years. In some countries, in top courts, judges are appointed for life. The judge population ratio in India is 21 judges per million population today, which is among the lowest in the world. Countries like the United Kingdom have 51 judges per million people. The United States has more than 100 judges per million population and Canada has 75 judges per million people. We should therefore certainly look at the conditions of service of our judges, increase their retirement age in order to fill vacancies for a longer period, and at the same time reduce pendency of cases. There are overwhelming reasons for this government to recognize that the establishment of a higher and uniform retirement age for judges in our superior courts would enable them to discharge their judicial duties not just independently but also allow them to do their work without worrying that they will have to step aside when they are in their prime. It will also fortify the rule of law and protect the fundamental right to speedy justice assured under Article 21. The worst pendency of cases at all levels can therefore be effectively tackled by increasing the number of working days available to a judge by increasing his tenure. It will be considerate if the ministry plans to address issues in increasing the retirement age of judges and reducing the huge arrears of cases along with some other vital challenges such as lack of transparency, particularly in the appointment of judges, the long detention of under trials, and lack of information and interaction between people and courts. Our objective should always be to strengthen the Indian legal system and bring the best judicial benefits to the citizens of the country. At the same time, in order to prevent an overt concentration of power in the hands of one supreme institution, it would be wise to examine other practices that have been found to have merit across the world. For instance, we can establish multiple courts of appeal as has been proposed recently by the Honorable Chief Justice of India. India can certainly benefit from the creation of 4 circuits of a court of appeal between the High Court and the Supreme Court. Not only will such an arrangement go a long way towards ensuring the distribution of power, but will also facilitate regional representation and access to the higher judiciary with 4 courts of appeal situated in the north, south, west, and east of our country. These courts would reduce the burden on the Supreme Court, which could then truly function as a constitutional court, dealing only with cases carrying constitutional implications.